Hello and welcome to School Attendance Beyond the Percentage. I'm Melissa Warwick from A-Star Attendance Solutions. Today we're diving into a topic that's at the heart of school success: attendance, the systems, culture and strategies that make it work. Joining me today is Daniel Snell, Assistant Head Teacher responsible for attendance and behaviour at Q3 Academy Langley. Q3 Academy Langley has just been awarded the Attendance and Behaviour Rise Hub. Congratulations, Daniel, and welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much, Melissa. It's great to be here.
Before we dive in, Daniel, could you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us a little bit about your role and a little bit about your school as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Daniel Snell, Assistant Head Teacher at Q3 Academy Langley, where I'm responsible for attendance and behaviour. I've been doing this role now for a number of years, and Q3 I would describe as a typically large, secondary, inclusive school, serving a very diverse community. We're very ambitious for our local community and our young people, but we're also very deeply values driven as well. So we believe that students do their very best at school when they feel safe, when they feel happy, when they feel known and supported. And our attendance systems really sit at the centre of that.
Thank you, Daniel. And for those who are listening that might not know your school, it has been designated a Rise Hub. Could you tell us a little bit more about this and why it's so significant?
Sure, that's fine. I think being designated a DFE Rise Hub is both a recognition and a responsibility. It recognises the work that we've done so far, building sustainable, effective systems around attendance and behaviour, but also it's a responsibility where we have a platform to support other schools. So our attendance challenges here are quite complex and they're very rarely solved by a single quick fix. And as a Rise Hub, our role is to share with others what's worked well for us and be honest about what hasn't worked as well, and help schools think very strategically about culture, about systems, about leadership and about monitoring.
So when I've spoken to yourself and the staff, you are working so hard in the school to change kind of culture and to really embed what you're doing in school. And it's fantastic that I've seen on social media all of the different ideas that you've got. And I really want to delve into that today. So let's talk about the backbone of attendance in your school and your pastoral structure. How do you allocate your staff within school to support each year group?
So for us, attendance isn't about the percentages. It's about safeguarding the well-being of every child and making sure they feel happy, want to come into school and feel like they belong here as well. So we really want to care in our daily conversations with parents. And to do that, we've set up a decentralised system for attendance. It starts with 2 attendance officers inside the attendance hub. And then in every year group, there is a pastoral member of staff who has allocated time to make up to 3 phone calls per day to children that are absent inside their year group. Now, we work really closely with our families, so we're very supportive and sensitive in the calls that we make, but we're also robust in the sense that we want to try and support children getting into the academy, and we make arrangements and agreements, and those phone calls can start as early as 7:30 in the morning. We operate a live spreadsheet system, and as soon as we receive phone calls and emails and registers are showing end marks, information is put onto that live spreadsheet, and it just means that student support champions, the non-teaching pastoral members of staff in each year group, can start making those calls really early and throughout the day. All of that is then tracked on a spreadsheet, and so we understand the context of each absence and can refer back to that at a later date. The impact of this is that obviously we've got 1 member of staff for each year group that's making dedicated calls every day. They feel the accountability for that. We celebrate the positive results that they get from that work, and then they have the strong relationships. They know their families and they can leverage on those relationships to support them and also to challenge them if we feel that the students should be in school. That's sort of resulted in wonderful impact, really. We're operating at 95.4% for the year so far for 1,500 students at Q3 Langley. So that's something we're very, very proud of.
Yeah, as you should be, Daniel. There's many, many schools that'll be listening to this that just wish they were somewhere near that. And that's testament, absolutely testament to the hard work that is going on within your school, which luckily you can share and have that RISE platform to be able to share what is working. And as you say, what hasn't worked as well. And attendance isn't just about monitoring. And quite often when I'm having conversations with staff, it's around what can we do to monitor attendance, but it's not just about that monitoring. It's so much about planning as well. Can you talk about how your academic calendar at Q3 Langley supports high attendance?
Absolutely. We think really carefully about attendance. It's not just about what we track and monitor, but it's how carefully we plan. So at this academy, we have 9-week cycles, and during every 7th week, there is an assessment week where students' attendance skyrockets, and it does because they want to be in school, they want to do their assessments, so they get those grades to show their parents at parents' consultation evening, which again attracts attendance percentages of between 80 and 90% for each year group. So we're really, really proud of that. Alongside this, though, we have a 0 week and we have an ethos week. So 0 week takes place at the start of the academic year where they don't access normal curriculum lessons, but more a blend of PSHE, tutor time, careers. And we also give our year 7s a staggered start time so that they can settle into the academy and get to know the rules, the routines, and get to know our staff. So that really gives them the best start that they can have. With ethos week, it takes place at the midpoint of the year, just before February half term. And this is the time where we organise trips, visits, careers, PSHE, personal development, and again, a really exciting time of the year for students. Attendance skyrockets, they all want to be in, they don't want to miss out, and we communicate really, really clearly with families to make sure they know what's going on and why every student should attend. So that really helps at a time of the year where we're just before February half term and staff are probably feeling a little bit tired, a little bit jaded, and it offers another opportunity for staff to engage with marking, leaving earlier slightly, and not attending the normal meetings that we would have during that week, like CPD and also department meetings. So it's a really useful time of the year there. I think another part of our academic calendar and the design of our school is family breakfast. It's a really special time every day where our year 7s, 8s and 9s get about 12 minutes in our cuisine, and they sit down with their head of year and they're invited into eat cereal, toast, fruit, drink as much water as they possibly can, and they then listen to very important announcements for the day, room changes, for example, and other messages about our values and our ethos, and it really sets the tone, sets the weather, and we find that sort of soft landing, welcoming our Key Stage 3 students into family breakfast every morning, helps to secure strong attendance across Key Stage 3.
And it just sounds like such an exciting place to be, Daniel, and kind of somewhere where the kids do want to go to, and you've got so much going on for them, which is just fantastic. So let's get into the nuts and bolts, Daniel, your attendance systems. What do your systems look like?
So our systems are built around clarity, consistency and follow-up. So we have robust daily processes which involve daily phone calls, parent meetings, but the key thing is always about what happens next. So our attendance is constantly reinforced as the norm. We make sure that students understand it's so important to be in school every day, to be on time every day, and their achievement is celebrated through daily lineups, through family breakfast, family lunch models, where heads of year can talk openly and positively about attendance. At the same time, we're really, really quick to spot patterns. So we use A-Star software through our weekly year inclusion meetings, and we identify students who have improved their attendance, not just those that are declining. And then we decide, in coordination with the SENCO and the attendance officer and the heads of year, what interventions we need to put in place with certain students. So we will meet with families and we will put together attendance support plans, and we'll identify barriers to their attendance and then select different interventions to put in place. And those interventions can be the wave 2 or wave 3 at this academy. So wave 2 is where the pastoral member of staff will do some mentoring, and they can do that over a 6-week period. And wave 3 is where we can refer our students to the umbrella therapeutic services on site, and that's where they can access external agency support over a 6-week period in the hope of helping them improve their well-being and their attendance to school. So we have a system whereby students will meet with an external provider and they can take part in things like animal therapy, for example, or Fresh Start program, which is very similar to a primary start in school where they can come in a little bit later and it's a little bit more of a gentle tutor time approach. And we find that those interventions really, really support our students.
It's so interesting and kind of to have that ability to have something like that umbrella program, which some schools would just love to have, but how well that is working within your school is fantastic. And I guess that builds to this next question that I'm going to ask you. How do you build that strong culture and that sense of belonging within your school?
Sure, belonging is fundamental to everything we do at the school. So students will attend when they feel safe, when they feel valued, when they feel connected with us. So that comes from consistent routines and clear routines, strong relationships, and adults who notice when something isn't right with the child at school. So all students at Q3 will wear the same uniform, same Q3 branded uniform, and a coat and a bag, which is unusual because students will usually wear their own coats and their own bags, but we like to make them feel included and equal. So everybody wears the same uniform. We meet and greet students at the start of the academic day. We like to get to know their names and something different about them, because when they feel known, when they feel like somebody's taking an interest in them, when they recognise them, then they feel more inclined to attend school. We allow students to gather in cohort zones in the morning. So year 7, 8, 9, for example, have their own areas and they're greeted by the head teacher at the start of every day with an announcement, and then they're transitioned into school in single file line, and the head teacher will talk passionately about football, about what's for breakfast this morning, and about what's coming up throughout the school day. So students really enjoy that start to the day. They feel like they're being welcomed into school and they feel like they belong there. At lunchtime, we operate a family lunch model, and we do this to make sure that students aren't competing in place for a line in the queue and missing out on some food or having cash on them inside school. We operate a cashless system here. So our family lunch model is designed to make students feel really safe and to provide every student with a hot meal. So they sit in the same place every day. We have a host on the microphone who introduces a topic of discussion. We have a camera and microphones in the audience. So once students have discussed that while eating their food, they will respond to the host at the end. And then we give appreciations to each other, which highlight what we value about each other, and our ethos is to be good, right, and true. So we talk about that all the time, and we recognise staff for going above and beyond. We recognise the catering staff. We recognise students for the good work they're doing throughout the day, and we give those appreciations to each other before then making our way out onto the playground to enjoy rest of the break. But it just means that that's a really safe routine for students to take part in every day, and they make sure that they have a hot meal as well. Inside lessons, we intervene very early. So we operate a stage 1 to 4 system using class charts and a live feed model. And it means that our pastoral staff and our city year will be walking the corridors with their iPads and the live feed inside the pastoral rooms with the plasma screens. And as soon as they see a notification for a stage 2, which is a warning 2, they will attend that classroom and withdraw the child and have a conversation before putting them back into the classroom. If a child reaches stage 4, they're removed from the classroom and placed into isolation, where they will lose their next piece of social time before returning back to next lesson. We do this to protect all of our children's learning, to protect their experience, to make sure that they're not disrupted by low-level disruption, and to make sure that they're enjoying themselves in lesson, they're happy, they feel like it's a productive time. And it allows our teaching and learning to be of a very high standard, which then contributes to our strong outcomes in Year 11. We also have a very robust safeguarding culture at the Academy. So we have a safeguarding hub with dedicated DSLs in each, but each of our heads of year are also safeguarding level 3 trained, which means they manage their own caseload of concerns pertaining to their year group. And those caseloads are managed in a really timely manner with appropriate action being taken place, and they're audited very quickly. So that means that our children are in a culture of vigilance. Our staff are being observant and they're looking for things to address and solve and support rather than waiting for issues to come to them. So that's how we try and create belonging at Q3.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many takeaways there, Daniel. Thank you for sharing kind of all of that with us, because there's so many things that staff and our listeners could just take and implement straight within their schools and give that a try. So thank you for sharing so much there. In terms of your reward theory around attendance, we talk about students being celebrated in various different ways. What does your reward theory look like at Q3 Langley?
We're very clear that attendance is an expectation. It's not a competition, but that doesn't mean that we don't recognise it. So every term we have a reward assembly where students are recognised for 100% attendance, and they can achieve a bronze, a silver and a gold certificate throughout the year. If they sustain 100% until the end of the academic year, then we invite them in for a very special reward assembly where they're given a gift, a letter of achievement in relation to their attendance, which they can put in their post-16 portfolios and show how reliable they've been at the academy whilst they've been here. We also recognise students that are making improvements in attendance as well. So we make sure that we have conversations with parents through positive phone calls, of which we do 3 per week for students that are improving their attendance and behaviour around the academy. We then also operate a Q3 Q Points catalogue, and that is a brochure of prizes that students can pay for through their Q Points. Q Points are something they earn through class charts. So we have a lot of positive buttons on class charts that the teachers can select throughout lessons and while students are out and about in the school, and they build up the total of Q Points, and then they can spend those on, say, for example, if they earn 1,000 Q Points, they can get themselves a £10 Amazon voucher. But also the negative points that they accrue throughout the year negate that total. So we try and encourage students to make sure they're mindful of keeping things as positive as they can and behaviour being as good as it possibly can. But if they simply turn up to the academy in the right appearance, they're dressed for success, they've got the right standards and equipment on them, then they will be automatically given 2 Q Points per day. And then we have different Q Points for academy ethos, so seeking for that which is good, right and true. And we encourage our students to build up big totals throughout the year, and then that also contributes to year 11 prom as well. So we don't expect our students to pay for prom. They use the Q Points that they've accrued throughout their time here to pay for that. So we do reward, but we do talk about it being an expectation and a norm, and we try to celebrate the consistency and the improvements that students make throughout the year.
Daniel, it's great to obviously chat with you, and I've spoken to so many staff within school, but your head teacher, I do follow him on LinkedIn, and there's just such a presence around the fantastic work that's happening in school. I mean, last week I was watching one of your newsletters that was being delivered from a football ground, and he's just so relevant with what's going on and just feels so connected to your school. And I know he has been such an integral part of the journey and values attendance so much within school. I don't know whether you could share some insights into how he does respond to attendance within your school.
Absolutely. Peter Lee, the head of Q3 Langley, is a very passionate man. He has built this academy from the ground up. He's had a say in every decision that is made here. He's interviewed every member of staff that works at this academy. He is very proud of us not being an academy that just focuses on exam results, but one that focuses on the personal development of each child. And when you talk about the trip to the football stadium, there are so many examples at this academy of enrichment and extracurricular activity. He firmly believes, for example, that on a Wednesday afternoon, we have one of the highest percentages of attendance in comparison to similar schools, because we run enrichment on that afternoon. So our students get to engage with lots of different activities. So we really think that that's helped with attendance. Attendance is number one on his agenda, and it's one of the first things that's mentioned in every SLT meeting every morning, is how do we perform yesterday? Where can we apply more support today to improve that percentage? It's something that we're all very proud of and we talk about regularly. And yeah, I think under his guidance, under his leadership, we've been able to build a school that has now been recognised as the DfE Rise Hub for Attendance and Behaviour.
Fab. Thank you so much, Daniel. And it absolutely is. You can see the work that's going on. I know the Masked Singer went down a treat on socials as well. And it's just that excitement for the students within school as well. So for schools listening, Daniel, that are struggling with attendance, what advice would you give them?
Okay, I'd say three things. First, I treat attendance as a safeguarding and culture issue, not just a data problem. Second would be to act early. Don't wait for patterns to become entrenched before intervening. And third, invest in staff resource and relationships, because the systems matter, but people change attendance. And when families feel supported and students feel understood, then improvement becomes very possible.
Thank you, Daniel. Such good advice, really. So thank you so much for sharing your insight into your role, into what's working at Q3 Academy Langley. And being a Rise Hub just shows the impact of that strategic leadership, those robust systems that you've got, and creating that strong culture. It's inspiring for schools that are wanting to improve attendance, that they've got so many takeaways from our conversation today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to School Attendance Beyond the Percentage. As always, if you found today's episode insightful, please do share it with a colleague and subscribe for more conversations that help us all rethink school attendance. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep going beyond the percentage.